The town of Elderpine was little more than a scatter of houses and a gas station, clinging to the edge of endless forest. People lived there because their grandparents had, because they knew how to cut trees, fix engines, and keep to themselves. Outsiders passed through on their way to somewhere else, never staying long enough to notice that the woods seemed to lean closer every year. Locals had a rule about the forest: don't listen if it calls your name. Hunters passed it down to their sons. Grandmothers whispered it to children at bedtime. Sometimes it was spoken with a smile, like a joke, but the silence that followed always felt too heavy. They said the forest could borrow voices: a mother's call, a lover's laugh, a friend's cry for help. It always came from deeper among the trees, where the paths thinned and the light failed. Those who followed never returned the same, if they returned at all. The loggers called it. Noah had grown up hearing the stories. Lily had rolled her eyes at them. Carter had laughed, swearing the woods were just woods. But when the three of them drove up that autumn, with backpacks and cameras and a plan to debunk the myth, even Carter went quiet as the tree line swallowed the sun. They parked at the trailhead. The last orange light of evening spread thin across the pines. The forest stood dark and endless before them, whispering with wind that didn't quite sound like wind. Noah lifted his camera, filming the sign nailed crooked to the first tree: "Enter at your own risk." The path began wide and firm, packed earth marked by the boots of hunters and the occasional hiker. Their voices carried easily at first, laughter breaking the silence. "Think about it," Carter said, swinging his flashlight like a baton. "We spend one night here, record some spooky sounds, show the internet nothing's real, and boom, we're famous." Lily adjusted her pack, smirking. "Or we disappear forever, and someone else makes the documentary about us." Noah stayed behind them, recording everything. His lens captured the pines crowding the sky, their branches knitting together until the daylight thinned to gray. "Feels different in person," he murmured, "like it's waiting." Two locals passed them on the trail, older men with rifles slung over their shoulders. They didn't smile. One of them stopped, eyes fixed on the three friends. "You from town?" he asked. Noah shook his head. "Just filming, for fun." The man spat into the dirt. "Fun. Sure." His gaze drifted toward the trees. "Don't follow if you hear your name. Understand?" Carter chuckled, but the man's face didn't change. He walked on without another word. Silence fell heavier after they were gone. Even the birds seemed to stop. By the time they reached the first mile marker, the forest had grown unnaturally still. No insects hummed. No wind moved the branches. Their footsteps sounded too loud, like intruders in a place that wanted them gone. Noah lowered his camera and whispered, "Do you hear that?" "Hear what?" Lily asked. He tilted his head. The forest pressed in, quiet and endless. Nothing he said. That's the problem. By late afternoon, the light had thinned to a dull gray. The pines rose higher, their trunks like black pillars, their needles muting every sound. The trail narrowed until it was little more than a game trail, roots and stones catching at their boots. Carter kept the jokes going, though his voice wavered now. So when Bigfoot shows up, who's bait? I vote Noah. Noah didn't answer. He had stopped walking, his camera frozen in his hands. Noah? Lily turned back. He stood very still, his eyes fixed on the trees. Did you hear that? Hear what? Carter asked. Noah's face had gone pale. My mom, she called me, from in there. He pointed into the dark woods. Carter snorted. You're hearing things, man. Nobody's out here. But then Lily froze. A voice drifted through the trees. Soft, close. Carter, she spun. Carter stood right beside her. But the voice had come from behind her, deeper in the woods. It was his voice. Carter. The call came again, teasing, familiar. Lily's flashlight trembled. That was you. Carter shook his head violently. No, I didn't. The three of them pressed close, eyes darting between the trees. The forest swallowed their breaths. Noah raised his camera again, whispering into the lens. Day 1. Elderpine Forest. We've all heard it now. Voices. Ours. The legend? It's real. Something creaked nearby. Lily turned her light toward the nearest pine, and her stomach dropped. Names were carved into the bark. Dozens of them, letters eaten by age. Some fresh enough to still show pale wood. She stepped closer, her hand trembling as she traced one of them. The last name carved was Ethan Marsh, 2015. Below, the forest sighed. And then came the voices again. All three of their names, whispered together, carried on wind that wasn't wind. Noah, Lily, Carter. The trail twisted until it hardly looked like a path at all. Their flashlights carved thin tunnels of light through the endless dark, catching branches that looked too much like grasping hands. Wait! Lily pointed ahead. Through the trees, a darker shape stood against the night, a structure, leaning and crooked. As they drew closer, the outline became clear. A cabin. Its roof sagged, shingles missing, the door hanging loose from rusted hinges. Finally, Carter muttered, forcing bravado back into his voice. A place to clash. 5 stars on Airbnb. But his laugh was thin. Inside, the air was heavy with rot. The floor groaned beneath their boots. Shelves leaned against the walls, cluttered with jars of cloudy liquid. A broken lantern lay on the table, beside a stack of papers bound in leather twine. Noah's hands shook as he untied the bundle. These are journals. The handwriting inside was jagged, frantic. He read aloud, voice barely above a whisper. The forest speaks. At first it was my wife, then my children. But they are long dead. The whisperer borrows what you love, what you fear. It wants you to follow. Lily's throat tightened. He heard voices too. Noah flipped to another page. Those who answer never return. Their bodies are found months later, arranged among the roots, eyes open, mouths parted, as if they are still listening. The last page was smeared with dirt and something darker. Only one sentence remained, scrawled so deep the paper nearly tore. It knows my name. The wind pressed against the broken shutters, moaning like a voice. Carter kicked the table, scattering the pages. It's just some crazy hermit. Lily, come here. Come here now. But Carter hadn't spoken. He stood frozen, staring at the device, his face drained of blood. The whisper came again, louder, from the forest outside. Lily. Lily's grip tightened on her flashlight until her knuckles turned white. She didn't move. She didn't breathe. Because the voice was hers. The cabin seemed to groan with the wind, the rotten beams pressing inward, as if the forest itself wanted inside. The three huddled in the center, the recorder still hissing with Lily's stolen voice. "Turn it off," she whispered. Noah fumbled with the buttons, but the static didn't stop. The voice only grew clearer. Noah, Carter, follow me. Carter's jaw clenched. He snatched the recorder and hurled it against the wall. It shattered, sparks dying in the dirt. But the whisper didn't stop. It drifted through the broken windows now, circling the cabin. A dozen versions of their names, each one slightly wrong, stretched too long, pitched too low. "Stop it!" Lily screamed, clapping her hands over her ears. Then they barely had time to breathe before Carter stiffened. His eyes widened, locked on the tree line outside. "Do you see her?" he whispered. Noah followed his gaze. There, just beyond the glow of their lantern, stood a figure. A girl, barefoot, hair tangled, a white dress clinging to her frame. Her face was hidden in shadow. "Chloe," Carter's voice broke. Lily's head snapped toward him. "What did you say?" "My sister," he said hoarsely. She died when I was a kid." "That's her. I know it's her." Before either of them could stop him, Carter pushed past, stumbling into the night. "Carter, wait!" Noah lunged after him. Noah's heart pounded. "He's gone." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "We're next." They staggered back inside, slamming the warped door. But when Noah raised his camera again, he froze. The small cabin window reflected their faces in the lantern light. Two figures inside, and a third, standing right behind them. But when they turned, no one was there. The whisper returned, soft, patient, curling against their ears. "You can't leave without him." And somewhere in the woods, Carter screamed. They didn't sleep. The cabin walls groaned with every shift of wind, and Carter's distant screams bled in and out of the night until they stopped altogether. By morning, or what they thought was morning, the forest was so thick they couldn't see the sun. Noah and Lily pushed back onto the trail. Their lanterns sputtered, half dead, and the batteries in their flashlights drained far too quickly. "We need to find him," Lily said, though her voice shook. Noah only nodded. His camera still rolled, the red light blinking faintly. The trail twisted, looped, then vanished. By the time they stumbled forward again, they found themselves standing in a place unlike the rest of the forest. A clearing. No trees grew here, only grass gone brittle and pale. The air was wrong, still, heavy, as if they had stepped inside a sealed room. At first, Noah thought the ground was scattered with stones, but then his lens, dozens of them, arranged in a perfect circle, lying on their backs. Men, women, children, some fresh, some rotted down to bone, some impossibly preserved, as if asleep. Their eyes were all open, their mouths all parted, frozen mid-breath. Lily's hand shot to her mouth. Oh God. They walked slowly, unwilling, the camera documenting what their eyes didn't want to see. The bodies formed a ring around the clearing, each one facing inward, toward the empty space in the middle. And in that center lay something small, a doll. Its porcelain face cracked, its eyes painted wide. It sat upright, waiting. The forest sighed, and the voices began again. Not whispers this time, but a chorus. Dozens of voices, blending into one by one. Their heads turned. Their open eyes shifted, snapping toward Noah and Lily. Their mouths, frozen in silence, moved in unison. The chorus deepened. You cannot leave. And from the tree line behind them, branches twisted, pulling together until a shape stepped forward. Tall, faceless, limbs too long, bending like roots. Its form shimmered, shifting with the wind, made of bark and shadow. The whisperer had arrived. The clearing pulsed with sound. The chorus of voices grew louder, overlapping until it was impossible to tell one from another. Noah gripped his camera as if the lens could protect him, though the shaking light only revealed the thing stepping from the trees. The whisperer. It was taller than the pines, its limbs bending unnaturally, its body a tangle of bark and smoke. Where a face should have been, there was only shifting shadow, a hollow mask that seemed to reshape with every breath. And when it spoke, it used every voice Noah and Lily had ever known. Noah, Lily, come closer. Noah staggered back, shaking his head. Don't listen. But Lily froze, trembling. Her lips parted, eyes wide. It's my brother. The whisperer's form rippled, and out of the dark stepped a smaller figure. Her brother, smiling, arms outstretched. "Lily, please." The circle of bodies shifted again. Their mouths opened wider, impossibly wide, a scream of silence waiting to burst. The doll at the center toppled onto its side, its glass eye cracking. The whisperer loomed above them, its voice splitting into 100 tones at once. Parents, friends, Carter, even their own voices thrown back at them. Stay. One must always stay. Shadows spilled across the grass, crawling up their legs. Noah yanked Lily back, but the forest twisted. The clearing no longer had edges, only endless trees pointing inward. The path was gone. He raised his camera, desperate. "You want someone? Take me. Let her go." The whisperer leaned down, faceless head, inches from his own. The voices hushed into one, his mother's, soft and tender. Noah. The camera screen flickered. Through the static, he saw himself, standing among the bodies, eyes open, mouth parted. Already part of the circle. His scream died in his throat. Beside him, Lily's hand slipped from his. She walked forward, tears streaming, her brother's phantom voice guiding her. The shadows swallowed her whole, her figure vanishing into the whisperer's shifting form. The forest fell silent. The circle of bodies closed again. This time, 2 new figures lay among them, Noah and Lily, eyes wide, mouths parted. The whisperer melted back into the trees, its work done. Weeks later, hikers passing through Elderpine reported strange things. Voices calling their names, laughter threading through the pines. Some swore they saw fresh carvings in the bark of trees. When they looked closer, they found 3 names etched side by side. Noah, Lily, Carter. The carvings were unfinished, as though waiting for more. And the forest whispered, patient as ever, "Stay."